और चलिए आपको इस वक्त सीधे लिए चलते हैं बिश्केक, जहां पर इस वक्त विदेश सचिव प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस कर रहे हैं।
Issues that we had been able to resolve through that strategic communication included long pending issues like the opening of the Bank of China branch in India, as well as the resolution of the issue relating to the listing of Masood Azhar in the 1267 Sanctions Committee. The two leaders agreed that while the outcome of Wuhan was a very positive one, it was necessary now to move the relationship forward into new areas. And therefore, the Prime Minister specifically conveyed to President Xi, and he agreed that both sides need to raise our expectations from the relationship. And in that context, the Prime Minister welcomed President Xi Jinping to India for the next informal summit, the second informal summit after Wuhan. He said that both sides must prepare very thoroughly for this summit, that the outcome of the summit must meet the expectations of both sides. And President Xi Jinping very warmly confirmed his readiness to visit India this year. He said he looked forward to discussing all issues from a strategic and long-term perspective, and that both sides should now begin intensive preparations for the visit. There was some discussion between the two leaders on the issue of trade. As you know, since Wuhan, the Prime Minister has reiterated that it is important for us to tackle the trade deficit with China, and in a number of areas that we had mutually identified, there was progress in terms of the regulatory procedures that have been simplified by the Chinese side. The Prime Minister took note of this. He expressed his appreciation for the simplification of the regulatory processes that included non-basmati rice, sugar, certain agricultural products, pharmaceuticals. And he therefore hoped that now that these regulatory issues were out of the way, there would be a significant uptick in our exports of these products to China, or imports by China of these products. President Xi Jinping took note of this. He said initial steps had been taken to redress some of these issues. He said that China will be taking further steps, and both sides agreed that in some manner we have to, in the next few months, see how we can achieve a significant breakthrough in this regard through discussions between the two sides. Both sides agreed that next year is a critical year in our bilateral relationship. It will be the 70th anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic relations. In this regard, the Prime Minister proposed that we need to mark this occasion in a befitting manner, in a manner that reflects this new relationship. And he therefore proposed that to mark the 70th anniversary, India and China should hold 70 important events, 35 each in India and in China. And the two leaders have tasked their respective external affairs ministers to discuss this matter at the second meeting of the high-level mechanism, which will take place. As you know, the first meeting of this mechanism took place in December last year, and it is a mechanism explicitly established to enhance people-to-people relations and people-to-people contacts. There was also a brief discussion on the boundary issue. The two leaders have asked the special representatives to meet and carry forward the discussion, and have instructed them to expedite discussions in this regard for achieving a fair, reasonable, and mutually acceptable solution to the boundary question. The two leaders have said that the approach should be constructive, and it must be driven by the larger context in which we see India-China relations, in which the two leaders see India-China relations in the coming years, in the new century, of course, but also in the coming years. Both the special representatives, on our side, the National Security Advisor, on the Chinese side, the Foreign Minister and State Counsellor, Mr. Wang Yi, were present in the room when the leaders met. So overall, this was a relatively brief meeting, because it is a meeting in the sidelines of the SCO Summit, but it was very substantive in content. The atmosphere was very positive. There is the Wuhan spirit was very much in evidence. And this is the beginning of what will be a series of other interactions the two leaders will have. They are expecting to meet and greet each other at the G20 summit 2 weeks down the road.